foundations of ethical production. The model is truly unique in that it's applicable across geographies, across craft types, and it's been adopted by the industry. And most importantly, it works. It's been applied in over 113 different supply chains, directly impacting 188,000 workers to date. Nest has seen significant impacts in both increases in wages and working conditions for these hidden supply chains. And brands are adopting it. The brands listed here are utilizing it to inform their policies and approach to home working, and also applying it to their supply chains to ensure that there is equitable treatment of producers for those in homework outside of factories. And this has only been made possible through technology. Nest has been able to engage more workers and increase worker data through the integration of technology. In the next 2 years, we look to increase worker voice through the introduction of mobile surveys and look to digitize the system for record keeping of wages and employment. We hope to engage through this increased data collection and integration of technology 100 international businesses and be able to bring visibility to 5 million workers that would remain invisible. Looking ahead, Nest envisions a world where handworkers in the informal economy are paid fair wages, are living in safe working conditions, and are digitally connected to the global economy. I'm Asha Sheikh Dearwester, Chief Strategy and Partnerships Officer of Nest.
Thank you, Nest. Any question from the judges?
There should be at least one.
Charlie.
So thank you. So what are the most important things for you to do to go from your 188,000 workers to 5 million? What has to happen for you to grow in that way?
So I think the integration of technology in terms of actual development of mobile surveys is really key for us to be able to reach more workers. I think on the brand and retail side, it's really important to engage them in order to be able to reach and access more workers that are already part of the existing supply chains. For these brand and retailers, they really need to see in quick time and real time information and transparent records. Right now, we're working with many populations that are either having things written down if we're lucky, or a lot of transactions are being made verbally. So being able to integrate kind of real-time dashboards that are collecting employment records and wage records will be key to gaining interest and dedication from industry and retail partners.
Thank you.
you.
So wow, Bao has another question.
Sorry. I think in addition to the scaling issue, how do you do compliance? Is your compliance, you address the compliance issue through manual work? How do you use technology to do the compliance?
The biggest integration of technology in terms of our compliance right now, as you're saying, it's a very manual system. It's very different than factory auditing compliance in that it requires a supply chain mapping, training on the ground, because many of these production systems do not have systems for compliance. They've never been shared what compliance expectations are or have been. So a few ways we've been able to integrate technology and hope to do so in an increasing way. On the supply chain mapping front, being able to map these workers digitally. Oftentimes with supply chains, there's overlaps in weavers or producers or small collectives that are being utilized. Also in terms of worker engagement and training, being able to digitally disseminate through mobile surveys or through digital technology, animated videos and other training tools will be very key.
People answering a survey is telling the truth.
Great question. So Nest standards and compliance methodology is based on 130 different set of standards across these main factory auditing systems and technology. And the way that it's verified, we have a dual verification methodology. One is through physical observation of our auditors, which certainly is something that would be difficult to scale with technology, and the other is through worker verification. So actually surveying the workers to ensure that they understand how are their wages calculated, what grievance mechanisms and reporting mechanisms do they have in place? So are things that are set on a central business level, or is that information being disseminated down to the end worker in their homes?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So wow, that was fast. One category done. So next category, skills development and opportunity matching. So we have helper for you. Please come up.
Hi. If you or I were going to find a job today, anywhere in the world, we would either go to LinkedIn, Monster.com, reactivate our networks, or just directly approach the organizations we want to work with to enhance our career. But think of an uneducated person looking for work, not to make a career, but to take care of her family. She typically has no skills, no network, no access to television, no newspaper. How does she find a job? Her best bet, either go knocking door to door or go to a middleman, which could be an agent or a person in her neighborhood or even the security guard in the communities where her employer are. Why do I call them the middleman? Because typically they would give her job information in return for money or sexual favors. So what we have tried to do, the challenge that we have taken is to help her find a job with dignity, like you and me. And our focus is largely women and migrant workers within India. The challenge is not because there's a dearth of jobs or that there are too many people looking for the same jobs. In fact, jobs for this category are abundantly available across the country at domestic helpers or office helpers. The real challenge was told to me by a domestic worker. She was distraught, obviously had undergone abuse in a job search, and she said, "You need me, I need you, but how do I find you without paying someone?" We looked around, we saw that it was true. She and I were in such vastly different socio-cultural domains, there was nothing common between us, except a mobile phone. In India today, every home has a mobile, even if it's a simple mobile. Unlike an email, a mobile can be used irrespective of your education. So we have used this mobile phone to connect the job seeker and the employer. With a very simple process to use, for the most uneducated person, we have empowered this job seeker. She can now find jobs nearer homes, better timings, better salary, and above all, a better job role. A maid can now find a job as a nanny or maybe as a telecaller also near a home. They also get more job options, with which comes the power to say no to a job in which they are not feeling safe or the job that they don't like. And the best part is that they don't have to go knocking door to door. The employers find them and proactively call them. This was a truly disruptive process in the Indian context. In a short span of time, we have been able to onboard about 55,000 job seekers. We are making 1,250 job connects every month from a single office in Mumbai. And the work is across India. Now, as India, there's a large number of unorganized workforce across the world. The only thing that can help us is to make the self-registration process simple for the seeker. And that is what we are working towards. We are working using AI and technology to help any job seeker anywhere fill up the form, as well as upskill themselves using the mobile-based trainings. Our objective is mobility by choice rather than migration by force. And I'm Meenakshi Gupta Jain, co-founder of helperforyou.in.
Thank you. Helper for you. Questions from the judges.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thank
Can you elaborate a little bit more about how do you use AI to enable the job lookers
Yeah.
to transfer their biography into the from the text to the voice? How do you use AI to enable that?
Right. So that is something that we are now doing a POC on. So what has interestingly happened is that with the penetration of mobiles and WhatsApp especially, the job seekers are sending us their audio clippings with their requirements. And my team works with that clipping to create their form. So now we have started working with someone in US and some engineering institutes in India to help convert this voice into text and to gather information so that we can create a the profile, simple profile, which can be seen by the employers. So that is something that we are working on. But upskilling, yes, we have already started doing that. We have started using regional language-based videos to share with these people so that they know what are the skills that they should have when they come to the urban areas to work. Yeah.
Is there any verification process to the legitimacy of the traders on each side, both the seekers and the employers? How do you know that you have good actors versus bad actors engaging on the platform?
Absolutely. So India has a universal identification system called Aadhaar card. We use that for our first level of verification. Second level of verification happens when the employer says, I'm ready to hire this helper. So we have tied up with another vendor who does a criminal record check across all courts of India, and that report is shared with them. Employers can also go for an address verification wherein we send a person to the helper's home to do the address check. Again, we have tied up with someone to do that across India. We also have a kind of an algorithm running at the back. So every helper's actions, every time they get a job, is captured. And depending on the responses to those things and the responses from the employers later on, we know what kind of a star rating should go to every helper. So that helps us push down someone or push up someone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helper for You. Next team up, Jobdo.
Do you know anyone who needs to borrow money between paychecks just to make ends meet? If not, meet Sarni, a Myanmar factory worker who makes $95 a month. No savings and no bank account. Recently, he got a speeding ticket while biking to work. He needed cash right away. What was his option? Normally, he would either stay in the police station for 2 days until he gets money remitted from his parents who live outside of town, or he can borrow from Loan Shark at 60% interest rate. But instead, he took out his phone, opened an app, and request to get the 2-week pay he has already earned but not got yet. And then he got the money within 2 hours, left the station, and there he went. True story. That app is Jobdo's earned wage access portal to help low-income workers meet their cash crunch. It also adds financial literacy in the training, but more importantly, it gives the power back to the workers so they can get their earned wage anytime they want, without disrupting the employer payroll system. Why are we doing this? Because we're here to enhance the financial sustainability of 900 million vulnerable informal workforce. Jobdo started as an AI-based job portal to connect workers and employers 95 times faster than the market rate. In minutes, workers can match with a job without going to interviews. The algorithm also looks less on the direct background and education background, so there are more chances of workings being selected. Our record speed for job posting to arriving at work is 30 minutes, and we're in Hong Kong and Myanmar. But as we see that, as we grow to 200,000 workers on our platform, we realize that job matching is not enough to move up the society ladder. What we need is a three-pillar future of work solution. So we have job placement. We now have financial inclusion and financial literacy. Now we're adding the upskilling, training workers digitally. We will continue our impacts on wage increase, on our reduction of borrowing costs. But in the next 12 months, we expect to expand into 4 other countries and place 400 digital workers working with Hong Kong and Myanmar governments. Join us on this journey to give real security through financial sustainability. Thank you. I'm Zania Wong from Jobdo.
Thank you, Jobdo. Charlie has a question.
Could you say a little bit more about the upskilling? Like what kind of training and how do you deliver that training?
So that's our latest products that we haven't started yet. But what we're doing is a combination of online and offline training. So the teaching part will be online. We're working with an education providers, focusing on 4 areas: UX, UI design, data analytics, web development, and growth hacking. So those are the 4 areas where we actually have real demand from employers, and we can place them right away. The 400 jobs that we have is actually coming to us through the Hong Kong government. And initially, they'll be placed as interns instead of like a senior developer or whatever. But so the training is about 14 weeks. So that's the online part. And the offline part would be group exercises. So the students have to get together and do projects. And when they can graduate from the 14-week training, then we'll place them in an internship.
So Violet first.
Regarding the earned wage access financing, isn't it any like regulation limitation on that?
So we actually officially an third-party HR payroll processor, because the way it works is at the end of the month, we will, so basically the employer outsources the payroll to us, and then we handle all the payroll at the end of the month. So, but we actually just pay the workers faster. So it's not a lending. But actually we are a partner in Myanmar, we partner with an e-wallet, which also is tied to a bank. So it doesn't, we also have a lending license if we need to use it. But technically we're an HR payroll processor. So employers just pay us after like month end after we calculate all the payroll. But we onboard all the workers with the fintech app so they can know how much they earn every day and get the money that they have earned early, and also learn about financial literacy.
Thank you. And next, we have Youth for Jobs.
We work with persons with disabilities from low-income families. We also work with companies to get them to recruit these youth, not out of sympathy, but because it makes business sense. Both the communities and companies think these disabled cannot work, so barely 0.5% are in jobs, and they remain in this vicious cycle of poverty. 80% of the world's population live in developing countries. India, where I live, has 70 million of them, mostly in the villages. Our proposed Youth for Jobs Ability Employment Exchange links the abilities of the disabled to jobs seamlessly using technology. Our unique advantage, we work with both these worlds at scale. So we have a large data pool. Customized content will further drive registration. Sign language videos, for example, for both the youth and the disabled companies. Our focus, we work on changing mindsets at scale in villages and the companies. Step 1, advocacy. We've reached 3.2 million households to date. Step 2 is demonstration. We've skilled and placed in jobs 18,100 disabled youth in our training centers in 32 locations. This year alone, 10 youth every single day. Step 3, measurement. We encourage companies to measure, and we find attrition reduces and productivity goes up as high as 15%. Amazon alone, for example, has hired 650 speech and hearing impaired alumni from us this year, and the process continues. We understand technology. In our girls' blind school, we teach them coding and JAWS software. Digital literacy is a part of every training center of ours. We use technology for transparency. So the obvious next step is this ability employment exchange, especially as our multinational customers want us to go to countries like Malaysia and Philippines, where they have offices. Sure, our work helps the country achieve SDG goals, but what energizes us is the fact that Lulu, Gopal, Kiran, different disabilities, different jobs, different locations, for all of them, a job is not just a job. They tell me stories of relatives who shun them thinking disability is a curse, now coming and hugging them. They earn 100 times what their father earns. And sometimes they just carry back the single largest color television. Mothers cry and bless us because every single mother worries what will happen to her child with disability when she dies. This ability employment exchange is an opportunity for us together to leave behind a better India, a better Asia, a better world using technology for higher impact.
Thank you. Youth for Jobs. Any question? Violet.
Have you developed like an online training platform? For example, it's like an e-learning material you use for certain area to train the trainers, or what kind of the online training platform you use about?
Yeah, we use hybrid. We have some amount of online material, videos, etc. But we also use, for example, in learning English, we have to do a bit of both.
Thank you. Bao Wei. One more.
First of all, I think it's a great idea and a great thing you're doing. I'm just wondering about the economic model. What do you earn from doing this? How much do you charge? And what? Because all the good things, you still need to earn money to sustain it. I'm wondering about your economic model.
The youth who are poor, we don't charge them any. Companies who hire, we charge them. And we also do a lot of services to multinationals and others to help the companies to either begin the inclusion journey or to strengthen the inclusion journey. And these services keep increasing all the time. In fact, now the big demand is to take our services. For example, banks like HSBC want us to work across wherever they have offices because our services are really cutting edge. And we keep looking at what the company needs and then, putting in a service for that. And that's is really, there's a huge demand internationally for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And so this concludes our second category. May I invite the judges to follow me to the conference room for deliberation? So that would be Charlie, Violet, Ken, and Edgar, please. And I will give my mic to Devin, who will continue with the third and fourth categories. Thank you, Devin.
Thank you, Flora. Okay, 2 categories down. Oh, thank you. 2 categories down, 2 to go. How are we feeling? Learning things? Good. Okay, so we have first heard about how we're creating more jobs that will drive more income. How do we prepare people to actually engage in those jobs and be successful? Now we have to make sure that we have the technology in the hands of the right people to continue to scale that impact. So we're going to move into our technology access category. First, I must introduce our 4 judges for these 2 remaining categories. So we are honored to have Bao Wei Li, the group chairman of LCY Group. Please give him a round of applause. Vincent Xu, assistant general counsel at Microsoft. Elizabeth Wang, chairwoman of the Jaho Life Plus. And David Wang, CEO of Taiwania Capital. Thank you very much for being here with us today. So I'm sure they will give you some pointed questions to our finalists. So let's bring them on up. We are going to start with Sat Shore.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We all are aware about the food security paradigm that we are currently living in. There are about 9 billion people whom we need to feed by 2050, and for doing that, we have to double the crop production. One of the things that we need to understand is the importance of small farmers in achieving this target. There are more than 500 million small farmers in the world who are cultivating more than 80% of the global agricultural land. Yet, only 7% of them have access to finance, credit, and insurance, two very important instruments that are required to improve their livelihoods and strengthen the entire agriculture production system. So why is that? Because agriculture is risky and agriculture financing is risky as well. Just in India, over the last decade, more than 300,000 farmers have committed suicide. Changing climatic patterns, frequency of droughts, natural disasters have really weakened the entire financial system to support these farmers, and that has also led to a lot of market volatility because of perception on the demand and supply of food. So, how does data help? One of the major problems of why we are unable to finance the agriculture system, why we are not able to finance the smallholder farmer, is because data, which is the life and blood of the banking and insurance industry, is something missing in the entire global agricultural context, especially in the developing countries which have the highest number of these small farmers. Today, data that is available for global agriculture systems. It's difficult to understand, too expensive to acquire, completely untrustworthy, and definitely not scalable for enterprises to adopt it. Now, how does technology come into picture here? How can we create data sets that have trust and can be used by banks? So there is a saying that if there is something stronger than all the armies in the world, that's an idea whose time has come, like the smartphone, which changed the way we communicated with each other. In this case, data that we are speaking of is being extracted from space. Yes, satellites. Satellites, because they have the global scale, they have the history, they have, when you combine it with local data to make it regionally relevant, the information, and use artificial intelligence and analytics to derive patterns, we are able to create the digital twins of crops at entire global scale while being able to see what's happening within a hectare. And this is by mapping the entire crop life cycle, which is from the time it is sown to the time it is harvested. Basically answering the questions on how much is to be grown, where is it growing, and what are the right plans and the right timing to address the farmers. Till now, we have helped an Indian bank add 84,000 farmers to the system, which is about $300 million of loan, and we have still 150 million more farmers to address. We are sat sure. Decision intelligence from space, making agriculture predictable and less riskier for smallholders. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've sort of expanded our rules, it seems, in the first two categories. So to be fair, we will have up to 2 questions for each company. Yes.
Hi, I first like to commend you on this very, very bold vision. My question is that as the weather patterns become more erratic, and we know that it will, do you think that this actually will inadvertently harm their lending for the farmers that you actually want to help?
Right. So the reason that we are today working with banks here is because the banks and insurance companies is because it's a more top-down approach. The thing is, in order to make insights which are accurate, you need to have access to more and more data. So it becomes more sustainable when you go in a top-down way. Now, once the scale starts reaching, we also have to go the bottoms of way so that there is no biasness created in the entire financing system. It should not be that the banks and insurance companies only go to the places where they can make profits. It has to be distributed. So data as such is transparent, and the way we have innovated on the business model makes it available to everyone, not just the enterprises. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just wondering, sometimes the satellite image could be highly regulated control and with limitation by some of the government regulated agencies. If you think about, maybe it's already those case in India right now, but if we want to scalable to other geographic locations, how do you tackle these issues, whether it's a regulated control on its image usage?
It's a very interesting question. Actually, 3 years back, Europe and USA made satellites, about 5 satellites data, publicly available for everyone. And the interesting part is all these data sets are just lying in the cloud systems like Microsoft Azure, GCP, and AWS. So the importance is no more in data. Regulations around it do not, kind of curtail the kind of spatial resolution data which we use for doing agriculture analysis. When you go down to higher than 1 meter resolution data, that becomes military information data. Those are regulated. This is low resolution satellite imagery, which is publicly available, can be accessed by everyone, and the value lies in it and how you derive the insights out of it, what kind of models you're building on it, and what kind of applications you're building it for. I hope that answers the question. There is no sovereignty on satellites. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Satur. Chase you down for the clicker. Next up, we have Stellapse Technologies.
I would like all of you to meet Mr. Ramkishan. So Mr. Ramkishan is doing dairy for last 30 years. He has 2 cattle. He lives in a remote village in India, and he has no access to farm management, farm advisory services. He has no access to financial services. And because of this, he earns just 50 cents a day. 50 cents a day. Imagine 50 million of Ramkishans. Imagine 50 million Ramkishans and you get a landscape of dairy in India. There are 50 million smallholder farmers doing dairy as a daily practice. There are 50 million small households. And we at Stellapse, we are using IoT to give access to technology to these smallholder farmers. We are digitizing the dairy supply chain. We are digitizing the farm extension services. And we use the data on farmer and the milk to give them access to financial services. The dairy industry in India, it's highly fragmented, highly unorganized. You can't reach 50 million people in a very organized manner. So the dairy sector is just 25% organized. The milk aggregation happens at multiple hops before it reaches to a processing plant and before it reaches to us as a consumer. The first point is farm. We monitor the cattle and we monitor the farm management services at the farm using our animal wearable and farm management application. At collection center, which is first point of aggregation of milk, we do the grading and pricing of the milk. At the second point of aggregation, which is chilling center, we use chilling monitoring devices to make sure that the cold chain protocol are adhered to. And we use the data to give financial services to the farmer. We assess the creditworthiness of farmers using this data and give them financial services. And the kind of impact which we can create if you deploy the full suite of solution, the kind of impact which we can create, it's quite phenomenal. This is a case study of one of our customers. This farmer was earning mere income of $170 per year. So when we translate 50 cents into annual income, it comes to $170. And when he got exposed to our services, when he utilized all of our services, his income increased 120 times. Just from $170, this guy's income increased to 24,000 US dollars. The same farmer, he was earlier supplying only 8 liters of milk per day. Now he's supplying 50 liters of milk per day. And when you show the value to the consumer, when you show the improvement in quality and improvement in the traceability, the consumers are willing to pay a higher price. Consumers are willing to pay 1.6 times extra but what they were earlier paying. So as of now, we touch around 1.6 million farmers. We touch around 3.5 billion liters of milk annually. We are touching around 500,000 cattle. And this is just 5% of the organized market. Our idea is to scale it up and next 2 years touch 10 million farmers. So we are looking forward for a strategic partnership and investor who can help us in journey. Thank you very much. I'm Umesh Pajapat from Stellapse. Thank you, MIT, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, thank you. Questions from the judges?
It sounds like magic to me. How you increase the income per farmer in such a dramatic way?
Yeah, so basically, this farmer have only 2 cattle, and their data is not captured anywhere. So financial service bankers, they are willing to lend because they have the regulation tells them, okay, you have to give a lending to priority sector, but banks don't have any data. When we show the income of these farmers, banks are willing to lend to these farmers. And we go into the farm, we improve his farm management, improve his farm management services, so that the same breed which he was rearing now is able to produce more milk. So that the case study which I showed, this farmer was earlier having 2 cattle, and here he has 25 cattle. His farm practices has improved. He is able to sell milk from 0.6 liter per liter to $1 per liter. So we are increasing his income, we are giving him more cattle, we are improving his productivity, and we are reducing his cost.
See, you leverage a lot of IoT technology, so the data transformation will be very critical for achieve these goals. For this rural area, especially for the dairy farmers, they probably no internet, no bandwidth. So how you resolve this issue?
Yeah, so currently, earlier when we started, the data was a major challenge. So we were using 2G to transmit the data from remote areas, but now, thanks to the telecom industry in India, the 4G connectivity is quite good, and we are getting good amount of data. We did lots of R&D in initial 2 years just to ensure that the data from these villages comes to our cloud. So we deploy additional antenna on rooftop of milk collection centers and rooftop of these farmers, 9 dB antenna, 12 dB antenna, just to ensure that on 2G network, the data is coming to the cloud. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. All right, as I advance through these remaining slides, Innovision is our next company. Come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shyam Shah, and I am the...
We are out of order on our slides. Here, we'll have the sound booth get to the right set. Innovision should be the next set of slides. There we go.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Shyam Shah, and the co-founder and CEO of Innovision. Our aim is to build technology to empower the disabled. We want to move from disabled to differently abled. So before I start my presentation, I want everyone to do a small activity. Please close your eyes for a second. Now try to open our website, innovisiontech.co, on your mobile. Totally difficult, right? And this is exactly what 40 million blind people go through every day. 90% of them are illiterate, 70% of them unemployed, 90% of them in low income settings. So why is this happening? 3 main reasons. First, availability. Not many books are actually converted into Braille, and even if they are converted, they are really bulky and expensive. The second problem is accessibility. If you see around in this room, almost nothing is actually accessible for a blind person. The third problem is affordability. The aids that are available today are very high cost, upwards of $2,000, not at all affordable for people in developing countries. So our solution is BrailleMe, an electronic Braille tablet. It has 2 main components. One is this Braille display, where there are small pins in white that you see that move up and down electronically. And the person can drag their finger over it and read in Braille. The second part is this keypad through which they can type in Braille. So now through this interface, they can do all sorts of things. Like they can plug in their ebook and they can read that entire book in Braille on this device. They can also take notes in a classroom. They can give their exams on these devices. Also, they can connect it to your smartphone or the internet and explore the digital world that we do on a day-to-day basis. Now they can do it in Braille also. This has been enabled through our magnetic technology, which enables a 10-fold price reduction against our competitors. We have filed patents for it also. So today we are in 30 countries, more than 1,000 students using this on a day-to-day basis. And by using this, their productivity levels is 2 times more in their schools. We can support around 15 languages right now on these devices, and we have enabled countless educational and job opportunities. This has all been possible through our innovation on magnetic technology. So join us in this effort to make this world more inclusive for the visually impaired. If we win the MIT prize, this will help us to bring more awareness about this device and scale our product from 1,000 students to 10,000 students. Thank you.
Questions from the judges?
So you talk about affordable technology, and in your brief, you also mentioned that most of the visually impaired are usually living in a disadvantaged setting. Then can you explain to me your rationale in the pricing difference, especially giving a disadvantage in the visually impaired for the developed world?
Yes, so definitely we have a differential pricing. We have at a lower price in developing countries, and then we kind of cross-subsidize. So we also sell in developed countries and kind of use those funds to subsidize for the low-income settings.
One more question? At the end.
This really sounds very promising. Just wondering, the 15 language, is it also including like the heritage-based language like Mandarin, Japanese, or Korean?
So we have enabled Chinese. We are right now working on Japanese also, and Korean also. So we have built a software which converts these languages into Braille. Braille is essentially a script like Latin. So you can convert any language into Braille. And we have built a software which is kind of expandable to as many languages as we want to build.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay.
It says 30 plus countries and 1,000 users. Why did you go to 30 countries? And it looks like you only have 30 users on the average per country. Why don't you just concentrate on one country and increase your market share before you move to 30 countries? It sounds like you are not focusing.
So I think the 30 countries that I've mentioned today, they have come to us to do pilots. So we are just one year old in terms of sales. So our process was mainly to do pilots and understand how we can enable in different geographies. Is it possible or not? So now we are focusing on each and every different country, specific areas, and expanding in them. Yes, we do look forward to partnering with large companies like Google, Facebook have also shown Google specifically has shown some interest in integrating our modules into their Chromebooks. So through that, we can dramatically increase and enable more people, but it is still in the early stages right now.
Thank you. We'll leave it there. I'll take the clicker before you go. Need technology access too. Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. As we pull up these next set of slides, we have the right ones now. We are moving into our fourth and final category, which is financial inclusion. So once we've engaged all of these people into these different jobs, whether through access, skill building, and new jobs altogether, we need to make sure that they have the wherewithal to build that wealth and maintain that wealth. And that's where financial inclusion comes in. And so I'd like to invite Asia Initiatives to the stage, where she already is standing.
So let me ask you, if any of you have some money in your pocket, could you raise your hand? Good. But that's not the kind of money I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about an entirely different kind of wealth, which is social capital, which is the propensity of people to come together and do social good. And I think everyone's in this room because of that. So why have we not leveraged this amazing wealth, particularly of poor communities? Because it's been very difficult to measure it. But now we can with technology. So we have developed SOCs, or social capital credits. It's a community currency for social good. It's a digital currency. So it's very simple. You do social good, you earn SOCs, and you spend that
on healthcare, education, and skill empowerment. That's what people need to get out of poverty. So we are looking to make social capital measurable and exchangeable. And so we are hyper-local in our approach. Our local SOC managers crowdsource innovation with local people through the SOC games that we have developed. And they develop local earning and redeeming menus. And for example, we worked in Ghana and Kenya as consultants, and the communities there are doing waste management, they are joining neighborhood watch groups, and they are planting trees. And when they earn socks, they are trading them for very, very low income and low interest microcredit. So we also have a system of sock stars. If you're really so good for your community, you become a sock star. And you can apply for grants to start micro enterprises, and we have seeded many. So we use persuasive technology for behavior change through our app and our platform, which is stockmarket.org. And so we record, verify, trade, and analyze SOC activities to make sure that our partners are achieving the goals that they themselves set for themselves. And if not, then we help them to tweak the menus so they can actually do it. So we've impacted 50,000 people so far, and particularly, I want to talk about our community knowledge centers. These are a computer network, and we have them in India, in Philippines, Bangladesh, and Nepal. And we are scaling up. Our partner will be offering socks on Mumbai-Pune Expressway, which sees the highest death rate of any highway. And SOCs will incentivize people to drive safely. We are also working with companies because in India there's a law that if you're above a certain level, you have to give 2% of your profits to corporate social responsibility. So we help our companies, if they do it through SOCs, they actually have a multiplier effect. Let's say a company wants to provide education for young people. But the young person and the person's family has to actually do social good in order to earn that education. So there's a big multiplier effect. So I invite you to share our dream of redefining wealth. Thank you.
Questions?
So I guess I'm going to be a little bit greedy and ask a two-part question.
Okay.
The first part is doing good used to be just doing good, but in this model, doing good actually has price. So who would be dictating what price it is, how you convert the D to the services you would like? And the second part would be, then how do you prevent people from gaming the system or faking good acts to get services? Thank you.
So the first question is super important, that how do we set value on socks? And the example I'd like to give you is we are working in Lucknow in slums where the really big issue is child marriage. So then the parents, if they come out in the village and take an oath that they're not going to make this child be married before 18, they earn lots of socks. So whatever is the highest priority in the community, like in drought-prone areas, the highest priority is to rejuvenate tanks and de-silt wells. So that gets you a lot of socks. So whatever is the highest priority. And we do it in Socratic dialogue with people. So it's really driven by the grassroots people because we believe that the closer you are to the problem, the closer you are also to the solution. So it is not top-down solutions. Yes.
Just out of curiosity, can you earn negative socks points?
You know that we've actually thought about that, but we totally want to bank on the goodness of human beings. And yes, gaming can be an issue because people are smart when you're getting benefits, but it works the same way as microcredit banks do, right? Self-help group. It's social. What can I say? Social accountability. Because if you are in a group and you are doing this, and if I say that I grew 100 trees and she's my neighbor and she says, no, you only did 2. So it gets called out. So we haven't actually had that problem. And really people are inherently good, and that's what we are banking on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the good questions from the judges. And so now I'd like to invite FIA Technologies to come up.
Women, children, the elderly, the minorities, the low-income households in some of the remotest parts of the country. This is whom FIA serves. By real-time biometric-enabled transactions powered by the only AI-enabled financial inclusion platform in the country. So half the world is unbanked, of which 800 million is in South Asia. And we know financial exclusion is one of the reasons for poverty. We believe that inclusion is about linkage, creating linkage. In FIA, we create a marketplace where we connect the ecosystem of individuals, entrepreneurs, micro-enterprises, corporates, and the government. For example, we provide product and service linkage to individuals, being one-stop shop for all their financial needs. We provide financial linkage to entrepreneurs and micro-enterprises through our alternate lending solutions. We provide network linkage to corporates and government through our distribution as a last mile service. And we do all this through real-time biometric-enabled transactions powered by the only AI-enabled financial inclusion platform in the country. So FIA, the story of FIA is all about impact. We have banked 21 million people in India and Nepal, which is 1.5% of the total population. FIA has been the only bootstrap fintech startup in India which has been profitable since very inception. So we have created outreach, the largest outreach of covering 90% districts of India and Nepal with our alliances with financial institutions and community partners. So the vision is to touch 1 billion lives. The goal, the immediate goal is to create the largest digital delivery highway, this digital distribution highway to underserved geographies in 5 countries to further penetrate the financial inclusion through digitizing $10 billion of cash annually, creating wealth through our robo-advisory investment solutions. I would like to end with a short story of impact. Surjit Kaur, 100 years old lady, India-Nepal border. She is receiving her old age pension at her doorsteps enabled by FIA. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the judges?
I heard you made money. And if it's profitable, how come the traditional financial institution will not get into this business? What is so different about your approach that makes you profitable and doing good at the same time?
Right. So, so FIA leverage the power of people, network, and technology. In technology, we are using the AI platform for both the spectrum of the ecosystem. AI solution for us help the financial institutions like banks and insurance companies with risk advisory and performance, distribution performance optimization, while it provides a robo-advisory solution for the last mile customers, the bottom of the pyramid customers, with alternate lending solutions and investment solutions. Yeah, we are different in the sense it's a platform of assisted e-commerce where we cover a journey with the customers It starts with financial literacy, basic banking to insurance, to micro lending and investment solutions. So it's both the power of technology, networking, and human assistance coming together that makes Sphere different.
Thank you very much. All right, we have reached the final pitch of the evening. I would like to invite the Pacific Development Foundation to come to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for making it to the end so far. My name is Robert Bell, and I'm here to talk about the work we've been doing, part of the Pacific Development Foundation. Our job is to reach out and connect with the forgotten guardians of the Pacific Ocean. Asia is a very huge place, but if you look to the east, you'll see 28 countries that cover an area that's greater than 2 times the landmass in Asia general. Our job is to reach these people in these incredibly remote locations with cutting-edge financial technology in these very small economies. Our goal is crystal clear. We want to bring private family incomes from passive sources up to what GDP per capita was in the year we started, which is a phenomenal goal. To do so has not been easy. We've built an ecosystem to achieve this goal of financial inclusion products. We've brought the best minds in the world to the Pacific, which would have otherwise been overlooked, to create an ecosystem that includes technology, partnerships with IBM to build blockchain systems for central banks, biometric verification KYC systems to give everyone access to payment services through Verifone terminals, and the list can go on and on and on. The United Nations verified that when we completed our first step, we were 20% of the way to completing our goal. Stage 2 is to bring the other financial institutions, the profit-seeking banks, the development foundations into our work so they can use our technology as well. We want to empower the pension funds to create one, at least, active pension account per household so that there's always a passive income there. We want to create insurance platforms so the insurance companies can either use us directly or help us get into making sure that crop yield fails are insured to make sure income is not disrupted. The success has been rather tremendous. About 80% of households in these tiny little countries have got onto our services. We processed $180 million of direct financial aid going into the Pacific in times of disaster through our product in the first 20 months. That is more than GDP, and so that's like, say, $22 trillion in Asia general for our tiny little region. Tonga itself lifted GDP by 11% when they did this, and at peak times, per billion of population, we can process something like 700,000 transactions per second, which is bigger than Singles Day in China, modified for the population disparity. We believe in the community because we're very present in these markets. Our projects, each one of these photos is something we've done, from robotic farming to engineering to community services and employment. And as we've started to grow outside of the Pacific, the international media has started to pay a little bit of attention. We do all this because we really believe that every country deserves the systems and techniques and technologies to include every single one of its citizens and families in the new digital economy. We're the Pacific Foundation, and this is our work.
Thank you very much. All right, judges, last chance. Make these questions good. There we go.
It's a great vision and objective. However, I cannot find, what's your business model to make you generate enough, profit and to carry on the scalability.
Yeah, that's true. So we originally started with the grant funding from the United Nations, and as we grew up, we got some extra funding from SWIFT to build out these financial ecosystems, so we didn't rely on revenue to begin with. As we progressed, we found out we built that initial platform, the payment system, the KYC service, and connecting it to the central banks. And there were just not enough other people coming in to use the system, so we ended up going out and either building or taking over a lot of the retail touch points. So we own like the remittance services that compete with Western Union. So we're bigger than Western Union in some markets now. And so we've been able to evolve from this sort of subsidized platform to a self-funding sustainable system, which is why we're getting really deep into these markets that otherwise wouldn't be addressed at all.
So I assume this is a non-profit or is a social enterprise?
Yeah, it is both. We are sort of everything in the whole Pacific. We're funded, again, by for-profit sort of divisions that we've set up. So the for-profit entities, the money transfer operators, some of the pension fund services create money. But this part of it goes in and puts in the core infrastructure because the Pacific's too small to have one for-profit company controlling this kind of technology. So we've set up a foundation that runs the core infrastructure. So our own retail units access it, but we also invite competition. I think something like 80% of the small remittance companies, for example, in the South Pacific and Polynesia, use our clearing system to actually compete with our revenue-generating ones, which subsidize the rest of the work.
Are you subsidized or supported by a lot of these foundations or governments?
Yeah, good question. So a lot of these awards that we've won, the World Bank, works with us for some of the bigger projects we've got coming at the moment as we sort of have national scale and impact. SWIFT gave us funding to sort of move from retail to more into wholesale. The United Nations, which isn't there, they were our start funding, so we got a little bit from that. But the rest of these aren't funding, they're awards. Yeah, we've had a few grants, not for a while, but to get set up, we had, I think, about $500,000 in total grants. 4 months after we launched. So we've been for a while. We haven't had grant funding, I think, for 2 or 3 years after the grant funding ran out. So we've been on our own for quite a while.
Thank you very much. I don't even need this anymore. We're done. All right, thank you. Oh, one more question. Okay, the final word. Final word.
Yeah, because you mentioned about the blockchain and also I saw some Bitcoin there. Just wondering, what's your plan to leverage this fintech new technology on the whole big picture?
Yeah, I kind of skipped over that. So Bitcoin and blockchain technology hit quite a few years ago. And we used to get a lot of people coming to us saying, oh man, if you put the Pacific ecosystem, which we kind of at the core of, onto distributed ledger technology, you'll do amazing savings. So we did a lot of feasibility studies with a lot of companies going forward. And it wasn't until we were approached by IBM that someone with enough scale to run with what we were running in the Pacific came along. So with IBM and in a joint venture with them, we launched the first prudentially supervised payment system to migrate entirely onto distributed ledger and blockchain. So we created a network of pretty much the most rich data on how to run blockchains at scale. So they couldn't keep up. Blockchains, there's a lot of work still to be done in blockchain. Some of the services can. We worked a lot with the Stellar network through IBM and the Hyperledger project. There is more to do. I don't rule out blockchain, but a lot of what we've done relying on slightly older technology is actually faster and a little bit cheaper so far. So that's a very frank, from the grassroots. Blockchain is not quite ready there, but if it comes, we'll use it.
All right, thank you. Getting off the stage. So thank you very much, everyone. So one big round of applause, please, for our finalists who have been on a long road to get here. Now, the hard work is over for you, as for everyone in the room. You've spent a lot of time hearing about these amazing innovations. Now it's time to digest something besides information and take a short 15-minute break. We'll have some refreshments in the hall as the judges go and deliberate on these very difficult decisions. And so we'll return here at, say, quarter of? Yeah, it was about a 10-minute break. But yeah, so we'll see you back in this room. Thank you, everyone.
So one of the reasons we entered the award was because MIT is obviously globally recognized as the best technology brand on earth, and for us just to be here and be part of this entire campus and feeling the energy has been incredible, and then to actually win is yeah, I can't even put into words what that means.
This is amazing. This is a shot forever, and seeing so many amazing, not only companies, but female-led companies who are making such an impact and are focused on impact.
The future of work doesn't look like a conventional college degree, but it looks like a more peer-to-peer learning experience for young people to get jobs and also get training.
We want to see if we can collaborate with the university to use part of the money to actually automate a lot of the systems that we work in for credit assessment.
We love collaborating with the MIT Inclusive Innovation Challenge. It really opened our eyes to a lot of new technologies from all over the country.
It was a great opportunity to know the ecosystem in Latin America, to connect to very, very extreme relevant organizations.
I'm extremely grateful to be a judge, and I've learned so much about the potential and the opportunities everybody can tap or will be able to tap.
We support organizations that are using technology to do good. The Inclusive Innovation Challenge is an excellent partner in making that happen. It was definitely a gala. It was a party. There was a lot of energy. I would say there were smiles from ear to ear at every single table.
The mission behind the Inclusive Innovation Challenge is to inspire a movement of inclusive innovators, just like our winners, who can create more solutions that will impact people all over the world today.
So one of the reasons we entered the award was because MIT is obviously globally recognized as the best technology brand on earth, and for us just to be here and be part of this entire campus and feeling the energy has been incredible, and then to actually win is yeah, I can't even put into words what that means.
This is amazing. This is a shot forever, and seeing so many amazing, not only companies, but female-led companies who are making such an impact and are focused on impact.
The future of work doesn't look like a conventional college degree, but it looks like a more peer-to-peer learning experience for young people to get jobs and also get training.
We want to see if we can collaborate with the university to use part of the money to actually automate a lot of the systems that we work in for credit assessment.
We love collaborating with the MIT Inclusive Innovation Challenge. It really opened our eyes to a lot of new technologies from all over the country.
It was a great opportunity to know the ecosystem in Latin America, to connect to very, very extreme relevant organizations.
I'm extremely grateful to be a judge, and I've learned so much about the potential and the opportunities everybody can tap or will be able to tap.
We support organizations that are using technology to do good. The Inclusive Innovation Challenge is an excellent partner in making that happen. It was definitely a gala. It was a party. There was a lot of energy. I would say there were smiles from ear to ear at every single table.
The mission behind the Inclusive Innovation Challenge is to inspire a movement of inclusive innovators, just like our winners, who can create more solutions that will impact people all over the world today.
So one of the reasons we entered the award was because MIT is obviously globally recognized as the best technology brand on earth, and for us just to be here and be part of this entire campus and feeling the energy has been incredible, and then to actually win is yeah, I can't even put into words what that means.
This is amazing. This is a shot forever in seeing so many amazing, not only companies, but female-led companies who are making such an impact and are focused on impact.
The future of work doesn't look like a conventional college degree, but it looks like a more peer-to-peer learning experience for young people to get jobs and also get training.
We want to see if we can collaborate with the university to use part of the money to actually automate a lot of the systems that we work in for credit assessment.
We love collaborating with the MIT Inclusive Innovation Challenge. It really opened our eyes to a lot of new technologies from all over the country.
It was a great opportunity to know the ecosystem in Latin America, to connect to very, very extreme relevant organizations.
I'm extremely grateful to be a judge, and I've learned so much about the potential and the opportunities everybody can tap or will be able to tap.
We support organizations that are using technology to do good. The Inclusive Innovation Challenge is an excellent partner in making that happen. It was definitely a gala. It was a party. There was a lot of energy. I would say there were smiles from ear to ear at every single table.
The mission behind the Inclusive Innovation Challenge is to inspire a movement of inclusive innovators, just like our winners, who can create more solutions that will impact people all over the world today.
So one of the reasons we entered the award was because MIT is obviously globally recognized as the best technology brand on earth, and for us just to be here and be part of this entire campus and feeling the energy has been incredible, and then to actually win is yeah, I can't even put into words what that means.
This is amazing. This is a shot forever in seeing so many amazing, not only companies, but female-led companies who are making such an impact and are focused on impact.
The future of work doesn't look like a conventional college degree, but it looks like a more peer-to-peer learning experience for young people to get jobs and also get training.
We want to see if we can collaborate with the university to use part of the money to actually automate a lot of the systems that we work in for credit assessment.
We love collaborating with the MIT Inclusive Innovation Challenge. It really opened our eyes to a lot of new technologies from all over the country.
It was a great opportunity to know the ecosystem in Latin America, to connect to very, very extreme relevant organizations.
I'm extremely grateful to be a judge, and I've learned so much about the potential and the opportunities everybody can tap or will be able to tap.
We support organizations that are using technology to do good. The Inclusive Innovation Challenge is an excellent partner in making that happen. It was definitely a gala. It was a party. There was a lot of energy. I would say there were smiles from ear to ear at every single table.
The mission behind the Inclusive Innovation Challenge is to inspire a movement of inclusive innovators, just like our winners, who can create more solutions that will impact people all over the world today.
So one of the reasons we entered the award was because MIT is obviously globally recognized as the best technology brand on earth, and for us just to be here and be part of this entire campus and feeling the energy has been incredible, and then to actually win is yeah, I can't even put into words what that means.
This is amazing. This is a shot forever in seeing so many amazing, not only companies, but female-led companies who are making such an impact and are focused on impact.
The future of work doesn't look like a conventional college degree, but it looks like a more peer-to-peer learning experience for young people to get jobs and also get training.
We want to see if we can collaborate with the university to use part of the money to actually automate a lot of the systems that we work in for credit assessment.
We love collaborating with the MIT Inclusive Innovation Challenge. It really opened our eyes to a lot of new technologies from all over the country.
It was a great opportunity to know the ecosystem in Latin America, to connect to very, very extreme relevant organizations.
I'm extremely grateful to be a judge, and I've learned so much about the potential and the opportunities everybody can tap or will be able to tap.
We support organizations that are using technology to do good. The Inclusive Innovation Challenge is an excellent partner in making that happen. It was definitely a gala. It was a party. There was a lot of energy. I would say there were smiles from ear to ear at every single table.
The mission behind the Inclusive Innovation Challenge is to inspire a movement of inclusive innovators, just like our winners, who can create more solutions that will impact people all over the world today.
So one of the reasons we entered the award was because MIT is obviously globally recognized as the best technology brand on earth, and for us just to be here and be part of this entire campus and feeling the energy has been incredible, and then to actually win is yeah, I can't even put into words what that means.
This is amazing. This is a shot forever in seeing so many amazing, not only companies, but female-led companies who are making such an impact and are focused on impact.
The future of work doesn't look like a conventional college degree, but it looks like a more peer-to-peer learning experience for young people to get jobs and also get training.
We want to see if we can collaborate with the university to use part of the money to actually automate a lot of the systems that we work in for credit assessment.
We love collaborating with the MIT Inclusive Innovation Challenge. It really opened our eyes to a lot of new technologies from all over the country.
It was a great opportunity to know the ecosystem in Latin America, to connect to very, very extreme relevant organizations.
I'm extremely grateful to be a judge, and I've learned so much about the potential and the opportunities everybody can tap or will be able to tap.
We support organizations that are using technology to do good. The Inclusive Innovation Challenge is an excellent partner in making that happen. It was definitely a gala. It was a party. There was a lot of energy. I would say there were smiles from ear to ear at every single table.
The mission behind the Inclusive Innovation Challenge is to inspire a movement of inclusive innovators, just like our winners, who can create more solutions that will impact people all over the world today.
So one of the reasons we entered the award was because MIT is obviously globally recognized as the best technology brand on earth, and for us just to be here and be part of this entire campus and feeling the energy has been incredible, and then to actually win is yeah, I can't even put into words what that means.
This is amazing. This is a shot forever in seeing so many amazing, not only companies, but female-led companies who are making such an impact and are.
Hello? Do you need to go through your slide?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin the keynote with Professor Charlie Fine. Please join us in the auditorium.
大家，我们的活动即将开始了，大家可以。
请大家可以准备回座喽，第二阶段的活动要开始了。活动准备要开始喽，大家可以准备回座。有英文的人都很乖，都回去了。
大家，我们的活动即将开始了。活动结束之后还有时间。Yes. 不好意思，大家，我们的食物可能要保留在餐厅的部分。不好意思，我们的食物可能要留在餐厅。Hi, sorry, you can't bring food in here. So if you have brought food from the cafeteria, you have to bring it back. But we have more time for food and beverage after this. Yeah. I know, but afterwards we have time. Once again, you can't have food in here. 这个场地不能吃东西，所以如果有带东西进来的话，麻烦大家先留在餐厅那边。
Okay, thank you everyone for tearing yourself away from the buffet. I know that's the danger of having good food and then making you come back. We promise there will be more time afterwards to continue the celebration. But I hope the suspense is building. Some of our judges have returned, which means that there's a decision on the first two categories. The other four judges are working on the second two. And in the meantime, as they finish their deliberations, I'm very pleased to invite Professor Charlie Fine to the stage for a keynote really focused on the future of work and thinking more deeply about some of these issues that we heard about today. So please welcome him to the stage.
Thank you, Devin. So what an amazing set of entrepreneurs that we heard from today. It's a bit humbling to see the amazing work that's going on. So very, very impressive. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to speak here and to be here today, and congratulate the organizers on an amazing event. And thank you for the opportunity to share a few ideas. Can I have a clicker? Oh, there is a clicker. Professor without a clicker. Okay, so I'm going to spend just a couple minutes on talking a little bit about the entrepreneurship journey. I think a subtitled, Nail It, Scale It, and Sail It. That's what I mean by that. First you got to nail the idea, nail the business model, then you got to scale it, and then if you do well, you'll sail off. And I think that what we saw today was a bunch of presentations on organizations that had sort of nailed it. That is, we got an idea, the idea works, we get going, and then a lot of the proposals were, now we want to scale it. How do we grow this thing? And I want to share some thoughts on that. Okay. I'll also mention, so I've been a professor at MIT for 36 years. I was only 12 when I started. But for the last almost 5 years, I've been on leave from MIT, spending my time at the Asia School of Business in Kuala Lumpur. The MIT Sloan has started up a new business school in collaboration with the Central Bank of Malaysia. And so if you come to Kuala Lumpur, you'll find there's a little bit of an MIT campus, and you walk onto our campus and you feel like you're at MIT. And so I'd like to welcome you all to come and see our school. And we're growing, and we're trying to blend the best of what MIT has to offer with the best of what Asia has to offer. Okay, so I've been living here 5 years, so I am a student of Asian culture, right? So what do students of Asian culture learn? Well, I think they have to learn something about this, yin and yang. So what's yin and yang got to do with entrepreneurship? So let me propose a hypothesis that innovation and growth require both creativity and discipline, and that creativity and discipline have a bit of a yin-yang sense to them. So as I said, I'm a student of Asian culture, so now I'm going to tell you what I think I've learned, and you'll tell me whether I'm right. But my understanding of what we mean by yin and yang is that we're looking for balance or harmony amongst competing forces, that there are these different forces in the world, and sometimes they compete with each other or wrestle with each other, and this symbol represents the attempt to find balance or harmony. So my proposition to you, and particularly to the entrepreneurs in the room, is that entrepreneurs have to balance this creativity and discipline. On the one hand, you need creativity, you need new ideas, you need the energy, you need the innovation, but you also need discipline. You've got to make things happen. You've got to deliver your product or your service. And these two things sometimes wrestle with each other. That is, if you look at established organizations, the people who run the processes are usually very disciplined oriented. I've got my process running, everything's worked. If you have a new idea and you want to try it out on my process, well, it's going to mess up my process. I got to keep running. On the other hand, the creative people say, don't put any constraints on me. I have to think outside the box. No discipline, please, right? So the creatives kind of want to reject the discipline, and the disciplined people want to reject the creatives, and you got to find the balance. Okay? So in that context, we often talk about, so this is the only chart I'll use, that innovation comes in waves. That we get some new innovation, some radical innovation, and then incrementally it gets better and better and better, things get better, and then you sort of peter out, and then you need another wave of innovation, some new disruptive idea, and things get better and better over time, and then that peters out. And so you have interspersed waves of sometimes you get a radical innovation, some great new idea, then you get lots of continuous improvement, incremental improvement, and then you get another radical idea. And so there's a little bit of creativity required to make the big jumps, and then a lot of discipline to do incrementally improving on every little thing that you got. So you got creativity and discipline going on here. And in the life of an entrepreneurial organization, so this is where this nail it, scale it, sale it comes in. Nail it is, what's the new idea? How do we get started? How do we nail the business proposition, the value proposition? We have to come up with a product or a service we need, which has got to work for the customers, got to work for the suppliers, got to work for the employees, got to work for the investors, got to work for the entrepreneur. So nail it is, okay, we figured out the value proposition. Scale it is, how do we grow? How do we double? How do we triple? How do we go 10x, 100x, 1000x in terms of what we're able to deliver? And then sail it, if you get there, is, okay, now we're kind of more on a level ground, level seas. There may be some waves, but at least we're not growing at the same rate. Okay? So what's nailing it like? So nailing is a little bit like hacking through a jungle, right? What's it like to hack through a jungle, right? All you got is a machete and a little bit of mosquito repellent, and you can't see around the corner, and you're kind of working your way through, and there's all kinds of obstacles along the way, and you don't have a lot of line of sight when you're hacking through a jungle. And so being a startup entrepreneur, we haven't figured this thing out yet. What's our value proposition? Who are we going to serve? How are we going to serve them? What's the need? Figuring that stuff out is a very, very jagged path through a dense domain where you can't see very far in front of you. So that's the way we think about the nailing process, right? What's the scaling process, right? So now we've figured it out. Now we're climbing that mountain. We can sort of see we can see the peak way off, and it's let's get all our act together. Let's get all our resources together, and we got to work our way up and grow. And then sail it is, we're more on steady seas. Nobody in this room there yet. Sometimes there's storming. Okay, so this is my colleague. Welcome to the jungle, right? You can't see very far ahead, and nailing it is working your way through the jungle. So what's the nail it environment? Well, the environment is you need speed and agility, lots of iteration, lots of uncertainty. Problems come up all the time. How do we solve those problems? Relatively flat structure in the organization, very people dependent, got to have a lot of communication, need validation all the time, problem ownership is important, and you're trying to define who you are and what you are, right? So people, so what kind of people are nailers, right? So nailers are people who say, yes, we can. Any problem that comes along, we can solve the problem, right? That's the yes, we can. Entrepreneurial, resourceful, hands-on. I see a problem, I own the problem, right? So in a more mature organization, one of the most common things you often hear is, that's not my problem, that's the other department's problem, right? But in the nailing stage, the small team that you've got, I have to own every problem. Can't pass it on, there's nobody to pass it on to. So you have to own the problem. So, and you have to be fearless. So, did I see fearless on some of those badges? Yeah, right? That's fantastic, right? So you've got to be fearless, right? It's like no obstacle, but you can't say that obstacle is going to kill us. You got to say, I'm going to have no fear. How are we going to work our way through that obstacle, right? So that's the nailing stage. And what kind of personality is a nailer, right? It's somebody who just doesn't take no for an answer. Somebody who says, I'm going to find a way around this. Somebody who says, I'm going to ask for forgiveness, not ask for permission. I'm going to figure out how to solve this problem, right? Very, very strong kind of a personality. So you make it all the way to nailing, then you do scaling. And I thought the answers, to be quite frank, the answers that we heard about scaling were a little naive. So I'm going to hope, maybe even presume, that I'm going to tell you a little bit more about scaling. Okay? So if you're going to scale your organization, if you're really going to grow it, what do you need? You need processification, right? You need the first time you do something in an organization, what's it called? It's called a hack, right? So we're going to hack, right? And the second time you do it, you rehack. But the 10th time you do it, and the 20th time you do it, and the 100th time you do it, you need a process. You need a well-defined process. And if you're going to teach it to someone else, then you have to have a process that you can teach them, right? So you need processification. You need to be able to think, how are we going to systematically do this? If we're going to grow from serving 10 people to 100 people to 1,000 people to 10,000 people, that can't be done without some kind of formal processification. Professionalization, right? The startup team, the nailing team, are often a bunch of generalists, right? So the CEO is also the CTO, and the CFO also runs IT and HR on the side. You get these generalists who have to do any job that comes along. But as you grow, okay, maybe we need a professional marketing person. Maybe we need a professional CFO, and on and on and on. So professionalization, where are you going to find those people? And how do you bring them in? And one of the challenges that startups have is that you bring in somebody who's a professional in that field, but from another company, and they want to turn your company into their company, right? That is, you can't let them alone, right? You bring in somebody into your organization. If you leave them alone, they don't know what to do. They don't know what your organization is. Very often it's hard for them to say, how do I take the skills that I learned in that other organization and transfer them here? It takes time, hard work. Automation, right? So we heard a lot about digital, right, today. So how do we automate what we're doing, delivering? How do we, what software do we need? What hardware do we need? If you're going to serve thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of thousands of people, you can't do it all by hand. You can't scale that way. You have to have what is the right software, what are the tools that we need for automation. Acculturation, right? So culture is what people do when the CEO's not looking, right? So how do you bring people into the organization, teach them who we are, what are our values, how do we want you to act, and build that into the organization, because it doesn't come automatically. You may have a small startup team that feels very close to each other. We know what we're doing. We think as one, but you start adding people, another person, another person, another person. They don't know. They weren't part of your history. They didn't know what you went through, and you've got to grow them into it. You've got to teach them. Segmentation. So as you grow, not every customer is the same. You're going to have market segments. You're going to have customers with this need and customers with that need and customers with this opportunity. And segmentation is necessary to grow because it's very rare that one size fits all, but segmentation adds complexity. Oh, now we have to start customizing our process. We need a process for this kind of customer, we need a process for that kind of customer, we need another process for that one. So adds more complexity to the system, but you need it if you're going to grow. Capitalization, that's what we're all about today. Who's going to win the money, right? That very often to grow, you do need capital, and I don't have to say more about that. Collaboration, right? So very rarely do you find an organization that can do everything by themselves. You need suppliers, you need distributors, you need partners. How do you build a collaborative model of how we're going to work together? And then platformization. So can we create platforms that are just sort of part of automation of how do we serve more people with the digital technology? So my view is that there are, and so I'm being very brief here, but this is a toolkit. This is a toolkit for scaling that once, if you've nailed it, and I think the people that we've seen in this room have nailed it, how do we scale it? It takes tools. It's not just we're going to do more of what we did when we were small. So the environment, sustain speed, build quality, revenue, process. That's all. I see a problem, we own the problem. All right, I think I was only given 10 minutes. How many minutes did I use? 12? 15? Okay, so I'm going to be really brief now. So sailing it. I'm laughing because I'm supposed to get off the stage. So sailing it, so sailing it, you're not climbing anymore. Kind of things have leveled off, but there could be big waves in here, right? So, but now you're focused on incremental growth, continuous improvement, et cetera, because nobody here is in this stage. I'm not going to say more about it, but it's part of the model. What else can I say? So nail it with speed, right? So nail it with speed. You've got to move fast. Don't break too many things, though. Scale with precision. Once you start moving up, multiplying, growing, you've got to have your details down. You've got to have what are our processes, how we're going to make these things work, et cetera. Who are the professionals, and then consistency. Okay, that's my story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlie. So now, the moment that we've all been waiting for, except for, of course, the food afterwards. Wait, that too. So I'd like to say that before we announce the winners, a couple of things to mention. So one of the reasons that we decided to launch this global tournament for the IIC is because we have so much to learn from entrepreneurs in regions outside of our own. So you may have heard solutions here today for India, for Tonga, but thinking about how to take those business models and lessons and apply them in your own ecosystem is something that we certainly are taking to heart, and we hope that you'll go home tonight and think deeply about that question as well. What can you learn from the organizations you heard from today to apply in your home region? And some of these are incredible organizations, all incredible organizations that are doing important work, and we're about to recognize them this evening. And so I didn't mention it at the beginning. The winners tonight will be vying for $250,000 in grand prizes, total of $1 million. But here today, the winners will take home $20,000 each, and all the finalists will take home $5,000. So the stakes are high right from the beginning. So to help us announce these winners, we would like to invite some of our judges to the stage for our first category. Don't reveal who it is on the back.
They probably can't see it. Whoa, their eyes is really good.
Yeah, very good eyesight.
Yes, okay, so for the first category, income growth and job creation, may I invite Charlie and Violet on stage.
We need help with our photo ops.
Okay.
All right.
Shannon, we have our...
Oh, it's over here.
Oh, it's
All
over
right,
there.
yes.
Okay, great. Okay, and the winner is, drum roll.
Oh.
I think first.
Careful giving him the mic.
Oh, yes, I know.
I think first we have to say that this was a really hard decision, right? That we were deliberating, we were arguing, we were fighting back and forth. All of the teams were amazing, right? All the proposals were amazing. So it was really hard, and I think we have to say we congratulate all the teams for amazing progress in what they're doing.
And that's definitely okay, and I absolutely agree. I was there being the facilitator, and I can definitely confirm that the judges had a very difficult time deciding on the following winners. Okay, so can I announce it now? With the professor's permission, it's Natakalam. Congratulations.
So we're going to take a photo right over here.
Congrats. Photo.
Okay, photograph. Oh, move into the middle. And probably forward too, so our faces aren't in the light, right? Stage direction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. So the next category, skills development and opportunity matching. May I invite Edgar and Elizabeth on stage, please.
Welcome to the stage.
And the audience, can I announce the winner? Youth for Jobs. Congratulations.
MIT and all of you on behalf of all the disabled in the world. I think this will really change the landscape. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over here. Other side. you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's my turn
Yes.
to hide my piece of paper. Okay, now we will be announcing the technology access category. And so, the important question, which judges do I want to come up here? Would Bao Wei Li please join me on stage, as well as Deputy Mayor Ye? Surprise guest. I don't even know if you knew you were going to be coming on stage. Come on up for the photo op. Thank you. Okay. Any?
Can I ask
Yes.
a quick question? Are there any team from Taiwan who did not make the final here? Any? Oh, okay. Because being the host of this event, I am a little bit saddened that we don't have a Taiwanese team. I'm trying to save money. You know, travel cost is very expensive. Yeah, but we hope that maybe with Vice Mayor's help, we should have a training camp for the Taiwanese team before they enter.
Make sure to be held in Kaohsiung, okay?
There you go. Next year in Kaohsiung, we'll be here. So with that, I'm pleased to announce that the winner in the technology access category is InnoVision.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. And we're learning the drill. We'll move to the middle of the stage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And last but not least, financial inclusion. I'd like to invite Vincent Shi and David Wang to the stage. Come on in. All right. Would you like to share any messages with the crowd?
I think I can just share this. We really have a very heated discussion. We even need the ice cream to cool down.
I confirm that's true.
Well, we're going to get to that so everybody can cool down after this in just a moment, because the winner in the financial inclusion category is Asia Initiatives.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, we're getting
Yeah,
directions
for-
from the photographer.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So with that, a deep, deep thank you to the LCY Education Foundation and LCY for hosting us in this amazing venue, which is brand new. We're getting to inaugurate it here today, which is an honor for all of us, and for simply being supportive of this initiative and inclusive innovation around the world. I'd like to thank Flora for all of her hard work coordinating in Asia, and also to the Influence PR team who has helped us put on this incredible event. We could not have done it without you, that is for sure. So thank you to everyone.
Yes.
So with that, thank you all so much for joining us for this celebration. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. There's more enjoyment to be had. The refreshments are still available, so you can get back to your ice cream. And I'd like to invite all of the finalists to join us on stage for your own certificates, some photos, and then you can go join the party as well. So thank you all so very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Come on,
Come on
finalists.
up, Robert.
Oh, yeah, look at that. You're gonna write-
Yeah, all the finalists, please come up for
And everyone
photo.
else, I think we'll open the wall again so that we can allow you to get into the refreshments, I assume, right?
Why don't we move to the middle of the stage? Photographer, you can direct us. Okay, so forwards. Forwards. Yeah, a group. Okay, okay, ladies. All right. Okay, okay, there you go. More forwards, actually, a bit more. Yeah, closer. Yeah. Okay, we can get closer. Yes, good, good. Okay. Oh, one more, okay. Yeah, I know. The front row was a little tired. Thank you. So great. Thank you. And let's head over to the refreshments.